I haven't felt like myself since I died. I wish I was a poet that could talk about the flowers, but I've never had a green thumb. Every flower I touch dies, and when I rose from the dead, I coughed up so much dry dirt you could have irrigated it, just like hairballs of Mother Earth, I her cat. And you know, I planted a theory once that the ghosts of your past are just pieces of yourself waiting around the house, starting to grow. My body, a performance in waiting, waiting to love. My body, a specter waiting to haunt to again feel whole. My body, a hand-me-down for an earth tired of sharing. I'm saying, here, take it. I don't want it anymore. One day, life will tire of ways to green gown me. And one day, this body will be blackened with ash, and one day I will inherit everything it fruits to life, and one day I will feel everything without feeling like I have to grow from it. As the king of this body, I will stretch my smile so wide the orchid blooms between my legs, so wide the throne no longer feels like a prison, so wide the drain in my shower finally gets unclogged. And I have a feeling that not everything will change, because I still want something to look at light and still choose me. I still want something to buy me flowers and feel powerful when I am not. I still want something to grow, something to make a home out of this empty body. And I can no longer call that something me. What dies first? The self, right? When I am naked for the last time, I will speak of every man this body has held prisoner as an old friend. I will speak of organic love, of wholesale freedom, of drinking my garden's entire nectar. I will speak of those flowers the poets love so much. And hey, if it takes a village to raise a child, how many flowers does it take to raise a dead girl? One day it will take more than language to understand me. One day, it will take silence. Creativity is a cycle, and it reflects the earth. I think that my poem reflects the nature of growing and finding community in one specific place, as plants and flowers often do. You don't always have to be creative 100% of the time. It comes and it goes. This poem just happened to be written on a day where I was feeling super creative. I've been lucky personally to find my own creative community in poetry and in the arts at large, but I do understand that there are a lot of young, especially BIPOC writers, who haven't yet found that community, and I want to say that that's okay. You will take root on your own, you will find your own community, but you have to have this sense of peace and love for yourself in order to be able to find that later on. I think that is what I have found in poetry, that ultimately it is a tool of community building. And, you know, when you write a really great line and you share it with your friends, the experience of them reacting to the poem, engaging with it, interacting with it, that is what really makes a poem, but that's also what creates a sense of community between you and your friends. Poetry is like an adhesive in that way. It sticks with people. But yeah, I think it's a powerful tool.
Yo, yes, that is the 2022 Washington, D.C. Youth Poet Laureate, Serena Patel. Shout out to Serena. We had her on here earlier today as part of a panel discussion on artists and activism with Ayanna Gregory and Kamon Freeman. And it was a terrific time, and I'm very happy to be here with you this evening. This is Patrick Washington, aka Black Picasso of the Still Almighty Poem Cs, and we are here for one of my favorite collaborations of this entire festival. This is WBL presents Story District. The good folks at Story District. If you have not heard of them, you need to check them out. They are I described it earlier as a boot camp for storytellers. You know, they kind of create griots if you pay attention, and it's a wonderful organization. They help you to harness your voice. If you have a story to tell, they can help you to kind of craft it. You know, there's a methodology, there's a protocol, y'all, to telling a story and telling it effectively, and they help you to do that, man. They help you do it with clarity and humor and heart, and they're really good people. I've been part of several of their events over the years, most notably the one called Sucker for Love. Don't look it up, but it's really dope. Oh, and I did another one too. They had a storytelling event around go-go music. I was part of that one as well. So it's a really terrific organization. I'm gonna bring up one of the driving forces behind Story District. It's my man SCOTT HOLLINGSWORTH, and I want to hear from him. Where are you, Scott? Scott. I'm gonna do it then.
There we go.
Yeah.
How are you, sir? Good to see you.
What's up? How you feeling?
I am great. I am feeling very great and excited about tonight.
Yo, look, you look fresh over there, man. You look like like you ready to tell some stories, man.
I'm ready. I got my DMV photo set up right here, so I'm all set to do this thing. Let's do it.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the background. You
Absolutely.
Turn sideways to get the profile. You know,
this is my mugshot, whatever you want, whatever DMV passport photo. I'm ready to take it.
That's another story we can tell later. So yeah, man. So tell me about Story District.
Oh well, absolutely, man. So this is great to do this with you. You know, Amy Stedman, who's our founder, told me about how, you know, at one point in time, WBL and Story District were actually housed in the same building for a while, right? So this collaboration is awesome that it's finally kind of taken shape. And as far as the organization goes, Story District, we've been around for over 20 years, specializing in spreading the gospel of storytelling. And so we do that through our classes. We have a podcast called Story District Presents. You should check that out if you have not already. We also do our trainings, you know, doing consulting with businesses and nonprofits. And finally, we have our shows that like this one, and then the Sucker for Love show that you mentioned. We actually do that every single year. And next Saturday, I believe, a week from today, we'll be at the Miracle Theater doing it once again, live and in person.
Miracle Theater, where is that located?
It's kind of near Barracks Row, I believe. Okay. And you don't quote me on that. Google it. But
okay.
It's a nice historical theater. Really, it's kind of like an old movie theater, but it has a great vibe to it. And we've got some storytellers that are going to be amazing. Yeah.
Nice. So who do we have? Who do we have this evening?
Oh, tonight. So we have three amazing storytellers. First up is going to be Erica. She is one of our storytellers that has done our stage several times, and I'm a big fan of this story. I picked this one. And then the other two, KASHVI and ASHERU, are two. One's a poet and one's an MC, but both come from your camp. And I've had the pleasure of working with them over the past couple of weeks, trying to kind of craft their story and getting ready for the stage. And so I'm excited for you to hear their stories, because I think that they really speak to the culture, if you will. Especially ASHERU is going to close it out, and his story speaks directly to a lot of themes that touch me personally. And I think it's going to be something that's going to be uplifting and also entertaining.
Okay. Hey, look, I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm about to get out of your way and let you kick this thing off, man. All right.
Okay, I appreciate that, brother.
All right.
Excellent. So once again, I'm SCOTT HOLLINGSWORTH, and we are Story District, and excited to be here. I have another show I want to make sure you know about. In addition to the Sucker for Love show, we are also doing a show on May 21st. It is our annual Pride show called Outspoken at the Kennedy Center. We've been there recently. We were there a few weeks ago, sold it out. Hopefully we'll do that again with your help. So definitely check us out. I'm excited tonight, especially because this show really sits within my wheelhouse. I am a storyteller. I'm also a musician and guitar player, specifically. And I'm also the in-house DJ for all of Story District shows. I go by the name of DJ Sugar Pants. And so if you don't know, now you do know. Listen out for me and check for me in these storytelling streets. I am deep within them. And let's go ahead and get into it. So before I bring up our first storyteller, I've got a little story I'm going to share with you. So buckle up and let's get into it. When I first moved back to Washington, D.C., I found myself working at a high-end shoe store in Pentagon City Mall. It was a bit of a low point for me in terms of just emotional. I had a lot of things going on, but I was working there, and then she walked in. And when I say she walked in, she more floated in. And this woman was absolutely gorgeous. I think she probably could have been a stunt double for Beyonce. That is no lie. And she came in, she needed some help, and I was eager to help her out. And we began talking and vibing, and I felt like I was getting the signal. And so I decided to go for it, right? And I just said, hey, listen, on the way in today, I noticed that they are doing karaoke at the bar downstairs. Are you up for it? I kind of challenged her a little bit. And she said yes. She said yes. And I was so excited because this woman is gorgeous, and I can't believe that she's saying yes to go on a date with me. And also, I needed this. I needed this win at this point in time. I was also kind of coming out of a divorce, and I hadn't been dating for a while, so I was out of the game. My swagger was on life support, and her saying yes, let's go on this date, was going to be it for me. So a few hours later, we are at the Champs Bar and Grill right there in Pentagon City, and we're sitting down across from each other. And again, the vibe is good. We're talking, the banter's good, and I'm loving it. But I'm also looking through the karaoke book, okay, because I got to find the right song. Now, we get here, and I realize that it is Black karaoke here, and Black karaoke is very, very serious. Now, if you don't know, there's a difference between Black karaoke and white karaoke. White karaoke, it's fun. People show up in groups. They drink a lot. Everyone sings out of tune and offbeat, but that's okay because they're there to have fun. Black karaoke is a completely different animal, a different beast altogether. Black karaoke, people come there to get record deals. There's a lot of singing like this, doing Mariah runs and whatnot. And I am not a singer, okay? I can carry a tune, but I'm no Luther Vandross, all right? So just for the record, this is a completely true story. Every story you hear tonight will be true. So again, I am not Luther Vandross, and I got to find this right song because I want to impress this woman, and I also I want this to go well, okay? So I'm looking through, eye contact, looking through, and as I'm looking, singer after singer gets up, and I mean, they are just absolutely destroying. Everyone is doing a lot of R&B, slow jams, kind of quiet storm come to life, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then I find it. I find the song, and I'm like, this is it, okay? Because the song, it's more upbeat, and there's not a lot of singing in it, and which is great for me. And also, the guys that sing the song can't really sing that well themselves, and so I'm like, I can pull this off. So my date, her name is Tasha. She goes up, she puts her name in, and then I go up after her, and then we begin to talk more and more, and she tells me that she's a used to be a singer, and she was in a group, and yada yada yada. And all I keep thinking is, man, you've made a terrible mistake. You're gonna go up here and embarrass the hell out of yourself in this place. This was not the move. So Tasha goes up. They call her name. DJ's like, Tasha, come to the stage. She goes up to the stage, gets the mic, and still looks beautiful. And she begins to sing, and her voice is okay. It's decent, but she chose a country song, right? And like I said, this is Black karaoke, and this crowd is blackety blackety black. It is. They're not there to hear anybody do country, okay? And so the song, I mean, as she starts singing, it's just silence at first. Then I swear I heard the chirps of crickets, followed by people just having out and out conversations and just talking, just completely disregarding what she's doing on the stage. And it felt like that point at the Apollo, Showtime at the Apollo, right before they start booing, you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like, oh no, luckily her song was fairly short and she got off the stage before that. And it was like watching a wilting flower, just a horrible, horrible death that I saw her take on that stage. And then the DJ says, Scott, come to the stage. And I am nervous. I'm excited, but I'm like, let's just see what happens. I walk up, and as I'm walking up to the stage, Tasha's walking back, and I see her, she sees me, our eyes kind of meet. And all the melanin in her skin has just washed out, and she just looks ghostly. And I just say, hey, good job. And she just shakes her head and walks back to her seat. I didn't have a chance to console her or any of that stuff because it's my turn now. I walk up to that stage, I look out there, and I'm just like, I gotta go for this, man. I gotta go for broke. If nothing else, I don't want to bomb like that. And also, I'm hoping that I still have a chance with this woman. She's gonna see me up here doing my thing, and who knows? It may lead to something else, I'm hoping. So the beat drops. I grab the microphone from the stand and I yell into the mic, Champs, Washington, D.C., are you ready? And the crowd said, yeah! And I was like, okay, let's do this. And so I called on my ancestors to give me strength, specifically MC Hammer. And I go into first the Running Man, followed by the typewriter dance. And I'm just pulling out every 90s move I can think of. The song kind of drops out and I'm ready to hit my first line. And I take it and I hit him with the girl, I must warn you. That's right. It was BBD Poison. And I knew it was the right song because by the time I got halfway through the first verse, I had backup dancers, right? Doing the Kid and Play two-step to my left. People were up. It was a party all of a sudden, okay? I get to the chorus. I get up on a chair, and I am just hovering above the crowd. And as I hit the, it's driving me. I hit that part of the song. I look out, and I just see hands in the air, fists, people vibing. Some people had chicken wings and stuffed quesadillas, whatever, in their hands, but they were all having a great time. I felt like a god up there. It was an amazing feeling. I finished the song on the ground like the I finished that part like this, just laid out, and I got a standing ovation. Okay, I couldn't believe it, and it was amazing. So I walk back to the stage and I sit down and I look at Tasha, and I know right away that this date is over. It's done. I tried to resuscitate it, to bring it back, but I couldn't get the vibe back, couldn't get the banter back. It was just done. I'm not sure what it was, but the song killed it. And I was sad because, like I said, she was fine, and she also had a lot of other qualities that I really dug. But sometimes it goes that way. But after reflection, it hit me that in that Champs Bar and Grill, I found something even better than that. I found my mojo. I got it back, and I also found the perfect karaoke song. And to me, that is way better than a big butt and a smile any day. Okie dokie. That is my story. And now let's get to the show. To be clear, everything you hear tonight is going to be 100% true. These are all true stories, first person, and you are going to love them. Our first storyteller. I know that we're here through virtual, and it's hard to show applause and show love, but I need you to blow up that chat. If you're at home, send the energy through the universe so that our storytellers can feel it and we can feel it here, because it's going to give us that energy that we need. Pump these comments up. Please show your love for Maryland's own Erica Jackson. Give it up for Erica Jackson.
Hey, good evening. All right, ready for me to take it away? So this was my summer of yes. I had recently ended a long-term relationship, and I was determined to get back out there, have some fun, meet some new guys. So when my really old car broke down and the tow truck driver asked me out, of course, my answer was yes. He seemed like a nice enough guy, and over the following weeks, we had typical phone conversations about likes, dislikes, jobs, families, etc. Everything seemed to be going well. So I asked, when are we actually going to go out? We agreed on a date, and he said, I'll take care of making all the plans, which is something I love to hear. So I left it all to him. So the night before our date, I called to ask him, what are the plans? Where should I meet him? And he says, I wasn't sure how to tell you this, but I don't have a car right now, so you'll need to come and pick me up. Now, usually for a first date, I like to meet my date at the location. So I debated this. But given my car struggles at the time, I knew what it was like to be without a car. So I agreed to pick him up for this date. He told me where he was living in Gaithersburg at the time, and I had just recently moved from the area, so I was familiar with the neighborhood. So the next night, it's time for our date. I drive to his home and it is pouring down raining. I follow the directions. I drive to the home, pull up to a huge house where there is clearly a party happening inside. Lots of lights, lots of cars, lots of people. So I call him thinking, like I must have done something wrong with the directions. Somehow I ended up in the wrong place. So I give him a call, and when the phone picks up, I hear a baby just babbling, like ma 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 ba ba ga ga ga. So I'm confused, thinking I somehow connected to the wrong number, and I hang up. A moment later, my date comes out of this huge house and he's angry. Why did you hang up on the baby? So I try explaining. I hung up because I was confused. But then I start asking my own questions. Whose baby was that? Is it your baby? You never mentioned you had a kid. So my mind is racing. I'm thinking he's got a wife, secret life, children on the side. Fortunately, he takes time to explain it is not his kid. Yeah, I'm crashing at my friend's house right now and it's his baby, but I thought since you're a teacher, I just thought you'd like talking to the baby on the phone. Just for the record, no, I have no interest in talking to some random stranger's baby on the phone. So once we get that settled, my date calms down. He gets into the car. I ask him, what he's got planned for the evening, where we're going. We're going to Olive Garden in Germantown. And he proceeds to give me directions. I remind him that I had just moved from the area. I knew that location and it's actually a Ruby Tuesday. I ask, can we go someplace else since I don't really care for that restaurant? He insists that it is an Olive Garden and he only wants to go there. So I drive us there in the pouring rain while passing countless delicious restaurants along the way. When we pull up to the Ruby Tuesday, I give myself credit for not saying told you so. He says, oh, since we're already here, we might as well stay to eat. This particular location at the time was really run down, not very popular, out of the way. And that night, there were only about 10 other people in the restaurant. So we were all seated in the same section. So I try to make the best of the evening and get to know my date better. And he was more than happy to talk about himself. So he starts telling me about his life. He said he's still trying to get his life together. And at the moment, he was spending all of his money on studio time. I'm planning to become a Christian rapper. And I said, okay, that sounds interesting. I suppose he took my comment for encouragement because he then stood in the middle of the restaurant to perform a song for me. My church drops deep as does my God. I always pray to cover over my squad. I'm rapping about the word and I'm about to move your world. All right, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of great religious hip hop artists in the world. Clearly, I'm not one of them, and neither was my date. As everyone in the restaurant was seated near each other, everyone could clearly hear what was going on. When he finished his performance, there was just silence. No one clapped, no one said anything. um, there was just nothing, including me. So there may be some people who would have loved a personal concert. I didn't. And when you don't have anything nice to say, you say nothing at all. To my date's credit, I don't think he really noticed the silence. And so he continued to tell me about his dreams of becoming a star, as well as other business ventures. I'm opening my own financial consulting business. I asked if he had any qualifications for that, and he said, "No, I'm just good with money." So eventually, our date ended. And as I drove him home, he said, "I've got a great idea. We should go on vacation together." I mumbled something about not really being interested in travel and just started to drive a little faster. When I get to his house to drop him off, I explained that I just didn't think we were a good fit for one another. Despite his request to at least remain friends, I said that it just wasn't going to work out. Unfortunately, he felt otherwise and continued to call from various phone numbers for 5 more years. So, despite that setback and the fact that this date was a big no, I continued to pursue my summer of yes.
Woo, amazing, amazing. Thank you, Erica. That was awesome. I still can't really fully understand why it didn't work out. Uh, but shout out to him. Hopefully he's out there following his dreams, all of them at the same time. Yeah, but I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Of course. I've yet to see him on any Billboard charts, so I don't know where he is, but
Just keep
that's the
looking.
part.
He's gonna blow up. When he does, you're gonna be the one that's sorry.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. One more time for Erica Jackson. I think that this is going to be controversial. It's my hot take. I'm going to say it though. You can be a Christian and you can be a rapper, but can you be a good Christian rapper? I don't know. Prove me wrong. I don't know. Um, but again, once again, thanks so much for Erica Jackson. That was amazing. All right. Hope you guys are ready for our next storyteller. I had a chance to work with her on her story, and she is she is amazing. She is. I'm going to tell you her age because it'll blow your mind even more so when you hear the story. She is 15 years old, and just absolutely phenomenal. And she's someone that we should all keep tabs on because she's going places, and I want to make sure that she does not forget us when she gets there. So, without further ado, please show some love for KASHVI Ramani. Give it up.
So when I first heard about Kamala Harris, it wasn't through a big political headline or anything. I actually read an article about her, which was pretty uncharacteristic of me since normally I don't read a lot of political articles. I do more so now, but this was about 2 years ago and I was younger then and I wasn't a huge political fan. I didn't have a lot of political involvement. So reading this article, it felt completely different than what I'd heard in the news. It was about Kamala Harris not as this big idealistic figure that I would never meet, never talk to, but rather her as a person. It was about her and her mother and how her mother was a single mother raising her in a country where there weren't a lot of people who looked like her. And I really found a lot of similarities between she and her mother and me and my mother, since her mother always told her to dream bigger than she ever thought possible. And my mom said the same thing, adding on like, after you dream big, once you think you've dreamt big enough, dream even bigger. So it was kind of the same mindset that our parents placed in both our minds. So Kamala Harris really felt like someone that I could connect with, like a friend that I could talk to, rather than this huge figure that was completely sweeping the nation. And it really helped that she was Indian American as well, because I never really saw people that looked like me on such a big platform. People who were making strides on this level, even if politics isn't the industry I wanted to go into, she was going to be able to change the game for people who looked like me, and specifically for me, because I've been waiting for someone who looked like her, someone who looked like us. And so after reading this article, I wanted to somehow communicate how I felt about her, how strongly I felt, and how hopeful I felt that she would change the way people perceived us. And so I did that the best way I knew how, through writing, and specifically through writing a poem. And so poetry has always been a very big part of my life. I think since I was 6 years old, that's when I wrote my first poem. And when I wrote my first poem, it was initially just for me, because sometimes when I'm communicating my thoughts, it doesn't come out the way I want it to. But when I'm writing a poem, it's like beautifying all my thoughts and all my jumbled mess in my brain and putting it onto a page. And it's always been this kind of like universal language as well. Other people understand my poem, no matter who they are, where they came from, or even if they relate to it. And that's kind of what translated to why I still write poetry today. I want to be able to communicate with people, and sometimes that's just not possible. But poetry and writing and all of that is this language that everyone can understand and interpret in their own ways. And so I really love writing poetry for that reason, and because it intensifies like every emotion I've had, and I'm already super passionate to begin with, so it just kind of like heightens my emotions. And so writing this poem with a super creative title, Kamala Harris poem, I know, I really got to know her on an even deeper level. I talked about my mom and her mom, as well as all the backlash she's getting at the time, because she was known around the nation being, Indian American, Black, and being a woman. And she was vice presidential nominee, so she definitely turned heads. And even though initially I just wrote this poem for myself, I realized that even on the off chance that Kamala Harris would see it, it would be worth it. So I posted this to YouTube, and I was pretty apprehensive at first, but it actually gained a lot of views. And within a few days, I was gaining thousands of views. People were seeing it, reacting it, liking it, and I was just completely swept away. I didn't think anyone would like this poem on the scale that they did. And then I woke up the next day, and I saw a comment that said that I'd been featured on the Michael Knowles show. And I'd heard of Michael Knowles in the past. He was a very verified political talk show host. And so I was really excited to gain this exposure. I mean, this could be like my big break. And that's really what I was thinking. I was always waiting for those, 2 words, big break. And I was thinking maybe this could be it. And so I clicked on the video. I looked at the caption at the bottom, and it said, KASHVI RAMANI, poetic failure. Okay, not exactly the type of reaction I was looking for. And I watched the video, and I just grew more and more dejected, because Michael Knowles was talking about how political my poem was, when essentially I didn't include politics at all, just Kamala as a person. And then after accusing my poem of being this really political poem, he went on to criticize my writing style and my character, which are 2 of the most important things to me, who I am as a person and how I'm writing and how it affects people. And so him being like 40 years old and me being just 14 at the time, and him being this, celebrity, I felt like I had to believe him. If he says it's true, then my poems just must not be good, and I must have a long way to go. And it just really discouraged me. I felt like, should I even keep writing at this point? Was it even worth it? Do people actually like it, or are they just telling me what I want to hear? And I was also thinking about how this was like a black mark on my career. People are always saying that any publicity is good publicity, but I felt like this was really bad in people's image of me, and I didn't ever want that to happen. But to contrast my kind of sad point of view, my parents took the exact opposite approach. They were super angry, and basically every person we have ever run into on the street received an email saying KASHVI RAMANI was featured on the Michael Knowles show, and even though there wasn't really a call to action, people started rallying in my defense. In his comment section, on my Instagram posts, on my video, more people were watching it, and then people directly contacted me saying that they loved my poetry and specifically explained like how it connected with them, which was just incredible. It was like above and beyond. People actually cared about what I had to say. And I continued to write more poems during this time period, and I received the same attention, but throughout all of this, I was like, well, I mean, if a celebrity says it isn't good, what does it matter? Like the people around me who love and care about me, what does it matter what they have to say? But throughout all of this, I was actually being interviewed. I was being written about in Indian news magazines and newspapers. And then I was actually featured on NBC. That was like the final road step in this crazy journey of mine. And going into the interview, of course, I was excited because a special was going to be done about me. But I was also a little nervous because I wasn't sure what I was supposed to say. Do I say that this hasn't changed me at all? I was going to keep moving forward and this didn't have any impact on me? Or do I talk about how this has really worried me and shaken me a little bit? But after they did ask the question and they were like, well, Kashvi, how is this going to change you with writing in the future? I realized that it was going to change me. This experience had an impact on me, and even though I thought it was negative at first, it was actually really positive. Because the poems that I wrote are some of the best I've ever written, and it was kind of driven by that passion of wanting to put out pieces that actually inspired people the way Kamala Harris is. And so I realized that I wasn't going to stop writing. This wasn't going to put like a blocker in my path to my writing journey, but it rather just like spurred me forwards. And that's exactly what I told them. And at the time, I never wanted to meet Michael Knowles. I never would have wanted to interact with him. But today I think if I did met him, I would give him flowers, because I recently found out that I got into the boarding school of my dreams, and the essay that I submitted to get into it was about this experience. So essentially, Michael Knowles put me on the path that would help me for the rest of my life.
All right, all right. Give it up for KASHVI. I told you, amazing job. Just 15 years old, great story. Loved working with her to help to bring that story to life. And shout out to her, and also shout out to Michael Knowles. You're a trash human being, and I wish nothing but the worst for you. Not a way to treat children, but yeah, absolutely. Just listening to her again and telling the story, I'm just struck by what I was doing when I was her age. Nothing like this, and I look forward to seeing what she does next, because she is definitely going to go places. All right, let us keep this show going, shall we? Your next storyteller, again, it's another person I had the pleasure of working with. He's your last storyteller, but stick around because it's a good one. I really, really enjoyed working with this guy. We went back and forth. I wrestled with him a little bit, but I think what we have here is going to be amazing. He is a Peabody Award-winning writer, a hip hop artist. He's also the founder of Guerrilla Arts Inc. And this is something that I just learned about him that I find I want to ask him about this later. He wrote the theme song for the Boondocks TV show. Love that song and love that show. So without further ado, please help me welcome to the screen GABRIEL, ASHERU, BENN. Show some love. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up.
Thanks. The year was 2014. I was a high school administrator at a school here in DC. Now, on this day, I was taking a quick moment to myself on my way to the school's main office, checking messages on my phone. And as I'm walking up the hallway, I hear a door fly open. Bam! Then I hear footsteps running towards me. After about 5 seconds, I hear, "Ben, stop that kid." It was one of the behavior techs breathing heavily, stomping up the hallway, trying to keep up behind him. And in that moment, I did absolutely nothing. I didn't even look up from my phone. I was fed up, and chasing students down and checking hall passes wasn't at the top of my list of priorities. But it was then that I realized that I got to get out of here. I got to get back to my essence. I'm an artist. I had just released an album, Sleepless in Soweto, maybe 6 months prior to all of this. I'm an entrepreneur. I design curriculum. I teach coaching programs. And I just knew that my life's purpose was meant to be more impactful than this. Now, a few months prior, a friend of mine sent me an email to apply for an opportunity with the State Department. So I applied and I was selected as a U.S. State Department Global Hip Hop Cultural Ambassador. And I still remember the day being summoned to the State Department offices with all the other newly appointed cultural ambassadors and us sitting around a conference table. And each of us got folders with our respective marching orders to tell us which country we were selected to work in to teach youth and produce a culminating performance. I was appointed to go to Bangladesh and scheduled to leave in October of that year. Now, by that summer, I knew I had a tough choice. If I kept my job, taking a month off in the middle of the school year would be a problem. So I had to either start the new school year and miss this opportunity, or take this opportunity and have no job when I get back. So after some deliberation, I went into my principal's office and I told her I wouldn't be returning for the new school year. She said to me, "I'm sorry to see you leave. You know, where are you going to go next?" And I just looked at her and I said, "I'm going home." So off to Bangladesh I go. My group was greeted with a warm welcome from the U.S. Embassy in Dhaka, and a couple of things stood out to me immediately. First thing, hearing the Adhan, or the Muslim calls to prayer, could hear them throughout the day, no matter where we were in the city. And the second big thing was the amount of people. There were people everywhere, pedestrians, packed buses with people riding on top of the packed buses, motorcycles, cars, cycle taxis, everybody just kind of zipping around and honking horns nonstop. So we immediately jumped in and we met the young people and the traditional cultural artists that would take part in this 4-week exchange. Now, I was concerned about the language barriers at first, but of course, I was among the few monolingual people in the room. And the other big thing that I noticed is that hip hop music was relatively new to Bangladesh, but thanks to YouTube and other media streaming outlets, the kids were becoming exposed to it all rather quickly. So because hip hop was new, many of my students expressed that their parents and their families discouraged them pursuing hip hop. They preferred for them to go into more like traditional, respectable career paths, like becoming a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer. So many of our students felt that they had to practice their talents in secret for fear if their families found out, that they would disapprove. So I felt like I had the responsibility to push my students to be bold in their hip hopness and to feel like free to embrace their passions with both arms, even if it was just in my classroom for that time. So during my time there, we met a traditional folk singer who visited us a couple of times and collaborated in the exchange. Now, this guy was dressed in all white. He had long black hair, and he'd always be smiling with a twinkle in his eye, almost like he knew something the rest of us didn't know. So, of course, there was the initial language barrier because he didn't speak English and I don't speak Bangla. But one afternoon, he and I participated in an impromptu jam session. So toward the end of the session, the singer goes into this song and he starts with his words softly and calmly, but then he slowly builds to this passionate, full body singing, almost like a cry. And in a way, it gave me goosebumps. So at one point, he gives a head nod to me like, "Okay, your turn." So I start rapping, and when I finish my verse, I head nod back. So he and I exchanged verses like that for about 10 minutes. And then later I asked the interpreter to tell me the meaning of this song that I just resonated with so deeply. So the interpreter explained to me that the singer is an artist in the Bao music tradition, and the members sing poems and songs of a mystic writer named Lalon Fakir. And this guy was Bao Shafi Mandal. He's one of the world's most celebrated Bao musicians, right? So he went on to say that the song is about a bird called the chatok bird. Now, this bird floats above pools of water, but it never drinks the water beneath its feet. It only drinks rain that falls from the heavens. So the song asks, what happens to this bird when there's a drought? And how committed will this bird be to wait for his blessing? And how faithful will he be until the blessing comes? So for 4 weeks, my fellow ambassadors and I, we ran the sessions like a hip hop boot camp. We spent hours each day where I led the writing and the freestyle sessions. Down the hall, we had dance ciphers, beat battles, DJ workshops, collaborative sessions with the other traditional artists, all preparing for the big show. So on the day of the big show, thousands came out in attendance. We were in a sold-out show at the Shilpakala National Theater. The audience got to see pop lockers dancing alongside traditional Kathak dancers, folk singers alongside MCs and DJs, beatboxers and drummers, all blending together and showcasing the possibilities of this magical fusion of cultures. So to close the show out, Bal Shafi Mandal and I, we take to the stage to perform what was now my new favorite song, the song about the chatok bird. And when he appears on stage, you could just hear the crowd going crazy. They were just in shock that he was even a part of the show. So, as the song goes on, we giving each other the head nod cues, just like we had done in the jam session as we exchanged our verses. And in that moment, I realized how much of a gift it was to know and work with this man. Our connection was instant, but our language was music. And the show ended with a standing ovation. We had the ambassadors, the students, everybody was just, beaming with pride at all that we had accomplished in such a short amount of time. So backstage, we're hugging it out. We took pictures, did interviews with the press. I even had some of my students bring their parents and grandparents over to meet me. And I could tell that some of their families were just absolutely shocked that their child had this hidden talent, let alone this hidden dream. So with all good things, my trip came to an end. I had to get ready to get back to the States, back to my family, back to the reality of not having a job. Yet at the same time, I felt fulfilled. I felt thankful that I had followed my gut and made the right choice. So I land back home. I get off the plane. I'm on the trolley to connect to the terminal, and I get a phone call. It's a good friend of mine who I've worked with in education for a long time, many years. And she's like, man, where you been? I've been calling you for like a month. And, I laughed. I was like, well, a brother was in Bangladesh on a State Department mission, how things go. And she's like, look, I got a job for you. It has your name written all over it. And you'll be able to do your hip hop education thing, but coaching teachers and school leaders. And the best part about it, it pays a hefty day rate. The only kicker is you'd have to commute to Chicago 2 to 3 days a week to work in the schools up here. So she was like, how's that sound? Are you okay with that? And I was like, look, I jumped at the opportunity. And I've been training and coaching teachers and working with school districts across the country ever since. But here I was at a crossroads, struggling to figure out my next steps. I go to Bangladesh and hear a mystic sing a song about a bird, only to realize that the bird is me. And so through his song, Bao Shafi Mandar was sending me a message that instead of stressing about the how and the what behind my next move, all I really have to do is stay committed and faithful to my purpose and in alignment with my assignment so that whenever the rain comes down, I'll be ready to catch those blessings. Thanks.
Wow. Yo. Yo, I'm yeah, I was moved. I was moved, Gabe. Yeah, you had look, you got the little give me the quivering lip over here, man. But yo, I appreciate that, man. Yo, I needed to hear that story. Yes. Sometimes we all feel like that bird, huh? Yeah. Yes, definitely. The mystic. I need. Yo, you are a mystic in many ways, bro. In many ways, you've always been that mystic. So thank you. If I remember correctly, I think we have some photos of your experience. I'm gonna share real quick. So let me give everybody a look at some of what you were talking about. So everybody, just sit back and relax for a moment and take a look. This was the experience. Yeah, incredible. Thank you very much. And yeah, man. Look. I want to thank Scott. I'm gonna bring you back up real quick, Scott, just to talk to you real quick. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for having me, man. This was a great experience, and that story from Gabe absolutely was moving.
Yeah, no, all of them were incredible. I love the fact that we can, the Story District experience can take you from humor to tears to heart wrenching to, make you think. It's always everything.
Absolutely.
Yes. So appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks to Amy Sedman, Love
Absolutely.
you. And yeah. Shout out to Johnny and everybody who participated. Listen, stay tuned, folks, because tomorrow Word Power Fest continues. We got some more going on, man. We have the book fair. We have the WBL book fair that's going to happen at 2 p.m. Some of your favorite authors are going to be chopping it up. At 5 p.m., we're going to have Getting Free. We're going to have an LGBTQ just jam session, man. So folks going to be getting busy. And at 8 p.m., it's going to be David and Goliath, the OGs versus the new faces. So you don't want to miss any of that. So
Patrick,
stay tuned.
I do one quick plug before you go. Don't forget,
Please.
we're having our Sucker for Love show on Saturday at the Miracle Theater. Tickets are still available. Check us out. It should be a great show. Sucker for Love, Miracle Theater, Saturday.
Yes. Go to storydistrict.org, right? Get some
Yes,
more
sir.
information on that.
Uh-huh.
Hey, we've all been a sucker for love, man.
Absolutely. Sometimes I'd like to say, yeah.
Yo, much love to you. Thank you, fam.
Thank you.
And
We'll see you
look,
soon.
yes, we'll see you all soon. Be safe, y'all. Peace.